I got a 50 gram, 14K gold nugget that I'm gonna give away for free to you. Sir, would you like this gold nugget? Of course not. You're...
Where's my fucking money? Motherfucker! Where's my fucking money?
TraxNYC is now known as one of the most controversial jewelers in America, running an empire worth more than $300 million. But his story did not start with flashing diamonds or celebrity clients. Before the headlines and the drama, before the bold interviews and viral moments, he was just a 7-year-old refugee landing in New York, barely speaking English and completely unsure of what his life would look like. The man who would later rebrand himself and build a luxury powerhouse was once just a quiet kid trying to survive in a brand new world. Born in 1986 in Baku, Azerbaijan, back when it was still part of the Soviet Union, Max Dagajani came from what looked like a stable home. His father worked as a homicide detective. His mother was a journalist. 2 respected careers, 2 steady paychecks. On paper, life seemed secure, but history had other plans. By 1991, the Soviet Union was collapsing fast, and Azerbaijan declared independence almost overnight. Political chaos took over. Streets that once felt normal started feeling unpredictable. The comfort his family relied on vanished in what felt like a blink.
This is the world's first steak cooked on gold. Gold conducts heat faster than any other metal. Therefore, it heats up faster and you could cook the steak 3 times faster than you would on cast iron. That's why this steak is finished in minutes. I got a 50 gram, 14K gold nugget that I'm gonna give away for free to you. Sir, would you like this gold nugget? Of course not. You're... Anyway, so we've got the gold nugget. Nobody's gonna want it. That's one person. If this guy right here doesn't want it, sir, free, then we'll throw it in the woods.
Staying in a country going through that level of upheaval was risky. Crime was rising, the system was unstable, the future looked uncertain. So in 1992, his family made a decision that would redefine everything. They were leaving. America was the goal, not for fame, not for wealth, but for survival and opportunity. They applied as Jewish refugees, a move that raised eyebrows because of their background. Despite having a Muslim name and living in a predominantly Muslim country, Max has explained that his mother is half Ashkenazi Jewish and half Georgian Jewish. He has described himself as half Jewish and half Muslim, raised in Jewish tradition with a Muslim father and a Muslim name. That layered identity would follow him for the rest of his life. When the family landed in New York, they settled in Queens during the early 1990s. Queens at that time was packed with immigrants from everywhere. Russian speakers, Eastern Europeans, Middle Eastern families, Latin American communities, all stacked into tight neighborhoods, all chasing the same dream. And in the middle of that loud, fast-moving city was a 7-year-old boy who did not understand a single word being spoken around him. On his first day of school, he sat alone at lunch. No snacks to trade, no jokes to laugh at, just silence and confusion. The other kids chatted easily while he tried to piece together what was happening. But even in that isolation, something about America grabbed his attention. The energy, the ambition, the flash. He started noticing the way people dressed, the way they carried themselves, the way success looked different here. That curiosity, that hunger to fit in and eventually stand out, would quietly begin shaping the path that turned a confused refugee kid into one of the most talked about names in the jewelry world. The 1990s were the golden era of hip-hop. The sound of the Notorious B.I.G., Tupac Shakur, and Wu-Tang Clan blasted from car radios, corner stores, and apartment windows across New York City. The music was everywhere. But for young Maxi, it was deeper than just lyrics and beats. It was the whole culture that grabbed him. The oversized jackets, the confidence, the way artists carried themselves like bosses even before they had real money. And above all, the jewelry. In the 90s, hip-hop jewelry was not just decoration, it was status. Heavy gold chains, iced-out pendants, custom pieces that sparkled under stage lights. That shine meant you made it. It told the world you escaped the struggle. For a kid who had arrived in America with nothing but uncertainty, that shine felt like a symbol of victory. It was not about greed, it was about proof. Proof that you survived. Proof that you built something from zero. Soon, Maxi was not just watching from the sidelines. He stepped into the culture himself. He started writing graffiti on walls around New York, tagging buildings and subway lines like so many other kids trying to leave a mark. That was when he chose the name Trax. At the time, it was just a street tag, just letters sprayed in paint. He had no idea that one day that same name would be connected to some of the most expensive custom jewelry pieces in the country.
If you own any gold at all, I want you to screenshot this image. And I'm gonna tell you another thing. I'm not a thief. There are a lot of thieves on this street. I'm not one of them. I spent $200 million+ over here. 3 o'clock tomorrow. If there's one person on the street that I owe money to, I'm gonna wash their feet right in front of my shop at 3 o'clock at 64 West 47th Street with this water.
But before luxury clients and million-dollar deals, he had to break into an industry that was closed off and old school. By 2004, Trax had just turned 18. He had spent 11 years in Queens learning the language, studying the culture, and watching how business really worked in America. He knew if he wanted a real shot, there was only one place to go. That place was the Diamond District in Manhattan. 47th Street between 5th and 6th Avenue does not look massive. It is just one block, but packed inside that single stretch are more than 2,600 businesses. Diamond dealers, jewelry exchanges, gold buyers, watch repair counters, wholesale offices stacked above small storefronts. The energy is intense, fast talk, quick deals, tight margins. Nearly 80% of all diamonds entering the United States pass through that one block at some point. Since the 1920s, the district has largely been controlled by Orthodox Jewish families who have worked the trade for generations. Knowledge is passed down from father to son. Even booth locations can stay in the same families for decades. For an outsider with no connections and no legacy name, stepping into that world was not simple. But Trax was already thinking bigger than just fitting in. The Diamond District was not built for outsiders. The whole system quietly protects its own. Families pass down contacts, suppliers, even the same tiny booths for decades. If your last name is not known, you are already behind. In 2004, most 18-year-olds were thinking about campus life, parties, and dating. Trax was thinking about how to force his way into one of the most guarded business circles in New York. He had no family in jewelry, no mentor, no secret connection, just $1,500 in savings and a mindset that refused to quit. On paper, it looked impossible. But instead of spending that money on clothes or nightlife, he bought a digital camera. That decision changed everything. Around that time, eBay was blowing up. Regular people were flipping sneakers, electronics, random collectibles, and shipping them across the world. Some were making serious money. Meanwhile, many Diamond District jewelers were still doing business the old school way. Cash deals, face-to-face negotiations, handshakes inside tight booths. The internet barely mattered to them. Trax noticed something they did not. There was a gap. Buyers across the country wanted authentic Diamond District quality, but not everyone could fly to New York. What if he became the middleman, the connector, the one who brought that block on 47th Street to a global audience without the jewelers ever leaving their counters? His plan sounded simple. Walk into stores, photograph pieces, post them online. If an item sold, the jeweler would get paid their full asking price. Trax would take a small cut for making the sale happen. No risk for them. Easy pitch, at least in theory. Reality hit fast. Most jewelers brushed him off before he even finished explaining. Some laughed. Others waved him away like he was wasting their time. An 18-year-old with a camera talking about the internet did not sound convincing in a district built on tradition. But he kept moving, booth to booth, rejection after rejection, until finally one jeweler agreed to test him. The piece was a gold ring priced at $750. The deal was clear. If it sells, you pay me. If it does not, you owe nothing. Trax photographed the ring carefully, created the listing, and posted it at exactly $750 with zero markup. Then he waited, knowing this sale would either prove his vision or shut it down. The ring sold. When the payment came through, he handed the jeweler every single dollar. No games, no excuses. But then reality hit again. eBay fees. About $120 gone instantly. His first deal worked, but his profit disappeared. Still, something bigger had just been proven. The system could be cracked. The fees came straight out of his own pocket.
You want to guess the value over here, and you're going to get some gold or some silver, man.
8 grand.
That's enough to get you 1 ounce. This guy?
35.
Okay. 35K, that'll get you
Better.
2. How much you think is worth that pile?
If I got it right, you gotta give me the whole thing.
How much you think it's worth?
Nah, I don't know, bro.
Come on, guess a number, bro. Forget about you don't know.
6 digits?
You think I knew when I started? 6 digits? All right, that's a clue. Yeah, sure.
200?
After paying eBay, Trax actually lost money on that first sale. He did all that work and ended up with less cash than he started with. Most people would have taken that as a sign to quit. Negative profit, wasted time, lesson learned. But Trax saw it differently. He knew the real win was not the money. It was trust. From the jeweler's point of view, some young guy walked in talking about selling jewelry online, something they barely cared about. Then he actually delivered. He sold the ring at full price and handed over every dollar without hesitation. No excuses, no games. That kind of follow-through matters in a place like the Diamond District. Word travels fast on that block. If one dealer says you are solid, others start paying attention. Little by little, Trax built credibility. One transaction at a time. One satisfied jeweler at a time. Over the next few months, more booths agreed to let him list their pieces. Each successful deal made the next conversation easier. He was no longer just a kid with a camera, he was becoming useful. While building those relationships, he was also studying everything: diamond clarity, color grades, gold purity, carat weight, how to spot flaws, how to avoid getting tricked, how to negotiate without looking desperate, how to read a customer's body language and understand what they really wanted. The same knowledge many families had passed down for generations. He was learning through daily grind and observation. No shortcuts. Just long days inside cramped booths, listening, watching, absorbing. By 2005, Trax was 19 years old and ready to bet on himself again. He had spent a full year proving he could bring value to the district. He had connections now. He had experience. Most importantly, he had saved enough money to try something bigger. That was when he opened his own store, a real physical location inside the Diamond District. For a 19-year-old with no investors and no famous last name in the trade, this was a serious gamble. Rent alone on that block was not cheap. Competition was everywhere. One bad month could wipe you out, but Trax had already proven he was willing to take risks on himself. With that decision, TraxNYC officially came to life. The name that once sat on graffiti-covered walls was now hanging above a storefront in one of the most competitive jewelry markets in the world. And that was only the starting line. The real challenge was survival. The Diamond District is not just competitive, it is ruthless. More than 2,600 businesses packed into one tight Manhattan block, most run by families who had been in the trade for decades. They had supplier relationships, private client lists, inherited booth spaces, and capital that a 20-year-old newcomer simply could not match. If Trax tried to compete the traditional way, he would get swallowed, so he looked for another lane. And once again, that lane was the internet. In 2007, he launched a YouTube channel to promote himself and showcase his custom jewelry. But he did not approach it like a basic commercial. He did not just point a camera at chains and watches and say, "Buy this." Instead, he flipped the script. He started posting educational videos explaining how the jewelry world actually works. He broke down how to spot fake watches versus authentic ones. He explained diamond grading in simple language. He talked openly about markups and how pricing really works behind the counter. That was bold. The jewelry business had thrived on mystery for over a century. Information was power. And here was this young jeweler giving it away for free online. Knowledge that many families had guarded and passed down privately was now being explained to anyone with Wi-Fi. Other jewelers thought he was out of his mind. Why expose the game? Why educate customers so they can negotiate harder? But Trax understood something they did not. If he became the teacher, he would become the trusted one. And when straight education was not enough to grab attention, he was not afraid to add a little drama. A sharp comment here, a direct call out there. He knew controversy pulls eyes, but the foundation was always information.
Is there a number for you where you're like, yeah, if I hit this number, fuck it, like I'm done. You'll never see me give out gold on the streets anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'll tell people numbers right now. Snapchat, by some miracle, is giving me $40,000 a month.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotta love Snap.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that is a little nougat, a little piece of information. YouTube is giving me, the shorts are not making that much money. They're giving me $20,000 to $25,000 a month.
Yeah.
Snapchat is giving me $40,000 a month, right? That's not going to last forever. That's not including my jewelry business.
Yeah.
That's the jewelry business sells between $3 to $4 million a month. So that has its own income reinvested, whatever it is. So if you're making 60 grand a month, okay, aside from a jewelry business, aside from anything else, right? That's a vast amount of capital that you could enjoy right now. You don't need a certain number in your bank account depreciating.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You need an income that's win for life.
Viewers were tired of feeling confused or pressured when buying jewelry. They wanted transparency. They wanted someone who spoke plainly. Trax started to resonate because he did not sound like a traditional salesman, he sounded like someone breaking down the system from the inside. The views started climbing. Those views turned into foot traffic. People walked into his store already feeling like they knew him. They had watched his videos. They had learned from him. That familiarity created trust before a single price was even discussed. Customers began seeing him as different from the typical Diamond District stereotype, but he was not just building a following for attention. He had his eyes on a specific niche, one that connected back to the hip-hop culture that shaped him as a kid. Everything he had done up to that point was quietly positioning him for that next move. The niche he had been building toward was custom hip-hop jewelry. Trax fell in love with that world as a kid in Queens, staring at chains and pendants in music videos, studying every detail. Now he was no longer just admiring it, he was designing it. The difference was real. Traditional jewelers understood gold and diamonds, but many of them did not truly understand hip-hop culture. Trax did. He grew up in it. He knew the symbolism, the boldness, the oversized energy. He knew that a piece was not just metal and stones, it was identity. The problem was the high-end custom space was already controlled by a small circle of elite jewelers. They were charging $100,000, $200,000, sometimes even $500,000 for a single custom piece. That worked for superstar artists at the top of the charts. But for rappers still grinding, building buzz, and trying to level up, those prices were impossible. Trax saw opportunity again. There was a huge group of talented artists who wanted quality but needed realistic pricing. So he positioned TraxNYC as the alternative. Legit custom work, strong quality, but priced in a way rising artists could actually reach. That move opened the door. Soon, names started walking in. Young M.A., Kodak Black, Joyner Lucas, Black China, then the bigger stars followed. Cardi B, Busta Rhymes, Snoop Dogg, even Mark Wahlberg stepped into the mix. Trax understood marketing better than most. Every celebrity visit became content. Cameras rolling during consultations, design sketches, the crafting process, the final reveal when the artist saw the finished piece. Each custom order turned into a full YouTube episode, and every video pulled in more views. Those views turned into customers who wanted to rock chains from the same jeweler their favorite artist trusted. By the mid-2000s, TraxNYC was not just another store on 47th Street. It was a brand recognized inside hip-hop culture. That visibility caught the attention of GQ, which brought him onto their celebrity jewelry critique series. On camera, he analyzed the chains and watches worn by famous figures and gave his honest take on whether the pieces were authentic or questionable. The format exploded because it mixed celebrity talk with insider knowledge. And Trax was not the polite, scripted type. If a piece looked weak, he said it. If a chain was overpriced or poorly made, he called it out. His content started shifting from pure education into something that felt closer to reality TV. The personality was getting louder, the stakes were getting higher, and the spotlight was only getting brighter. In 2019, filmmakers Safdie brothers were wrapping up production on a gritty thriller set right inside New York's Diamond District. The film was Uncut Gems, starring Adam Sandler as a fast-talking jeweler spiraling through debt and addiction. The Safdie brothers had a reputation for making movies that felt tense, messy, and painfully real. For this project, they did not want a polished Hollywood version of 47th Street. They wanted the noise, the pressure, the chaos. So they filmed on location. Real storefronts, real booths, real jewelers stepping into supporting roles to give the movie that authentic edge.
So not only did these fucking pieces of shit, okay, rip you off on this fucking thing, it turned out to be 9-karat gold, right? You had a check?
Yes.
So they're gonna be giving you $1,000 on top. Here's $22,000 for your fucking trouble. These bum motherfuckers, bro. You get people in this exchange, people in this. Stop being greedy pieces of fucking lying shit. So I'm Trax. I want this coming up with a fucking scheme every fucking time. Keep scheming, bro! 9-carat this, 2-carat that, this, that. Security what, bro? Bullshit, bro! Stop stealing! Gotta come up. I want my money, motherfuckers, bro. I gave the money up. You wanna be TraxNYC? You're TraxNYC! Akai! Garbage! You motherfuckers are garbage!
One of those jewelers was Trax. He played a character named Yusi, an employee caught in the middle of Sandler's character's reckless decisions. While trained actors delivered dramatic performances, Trax did not have to fake much. He was already living that world every day. When the film dropped, it became one of the most talked about movies of the year. Critics praised Sandler's performance, calling it one of the strongest dramatic roles of his career. But for many viewers, Trax stood out in a different way. He did not look like he was acting. He looked like he belonged there, calm in the middle of chaos, comfortable in that high-pressure environment. After the film's success, his visibility shot far beyond hip-hop jewelry. For years, he had dominated within that niche. Now mainstream media outlets were calling. Interview requests came in. Podcasts wanted him as a guest. Platforms that had never paid attention to Diamond District culture suddenly wanted his perspective. But attention alone was not enough for Trax. He saw momentum and decided to push it. His YouTube content took a wild turn. He started creating over-the-top videos designed purely to grab eyes, cooking steaks on top of gold bars, swinging baseball bats made of solid gold just to see if they could shatter, melting down massive amounts of gold on camera, showing off rare stones valued at tens of millions of dollars. Each video felt bigger than the last. Louder, more extreme. He was experimenting in real time, watching the numbers, studying the reactions. Some clips were about shock value, others leaned into luxury. He was trying to crack the code of what would truly scale his audience beyond jewelry buyers and into mainstream viral territory. Eventually, he landed on a formula that hit differently. Instead of just showing wealth, he walked into the streets and started offering real gold and silver to random people for free. That shift from flexing to interacting changed everything. The content was no longer just about shine. It was about reactions, unpredictability, and human moments caught on camera. When people on the street refused to accept thousands of dollars worth of real gold and silver, most creators would have cut the camera. Trax did the opposite. He saw hesitation as opportunity. The disbelief on people's faces became the hook. Viewers could not process that something valuable was being handed out for free. That tension made the clips powerful. The idea that strangers would question whether the gold was real turned into the entire storyline. The videos pulled in millions of views. Comments flooded in. Some viewers said it had to be staged. Others argued nobody would walk away from that kind of offer unless they thought it was fake. Trax leaned into the momentum. He raised the stakes. Instead of simply giving items away, he began challenging people to guess the value of the gold or silver he was holding. If they guessed correctly, they kept it. That interactive twist made the content even more addictive to watch. By early 2020, TraxNYC looked unstoppable. The store was thriving. The YouTube channel had climbed into the millions of subscribers. Celebrity relationships were solid. He was no longer just a jeweler behind a counter. He was a media personality with a loyal digital audience. Then the world shifted, COVID hit, lockdown started, foot traffic vanished. Luxury sales dropped sharply as uncertainty took over. The Diamond District, normally loud and intense, went quiet in a way most veterans had never seen. Many jewelers scrambled, cutting costs and hoping to survive the slowdown. Trax made another pivot. With the storefront temporarily shut and people glued to their screens at home, he expanded his content beyond jewelry. He began speaking about economic shifts, global headlines, and political debates. That shift gave birth to what he called Trax News, his version of independent commentary. He framed it as information delivered directly to viewers without corporate filters. It was a bold move. Turning a jewelry brand into a platform for news and opinion could have pushed away customers who only cared about chains and watches. But Trax had built his reputation on saying what others avoided. He leaned into that identity. Instead of shrinking his audience, the pivot grew it. People who had never planned to buy jewelry started tuning in just to hear his perspective. By 2025, his following across platforms had climbed past 9 million. Features in outlets like GQ and appearances on major podcasts strengthened his public image.
Where's my f***ing money, motherfucker? Where's my f***ing money, bitch?
You wanna
You
talk?
little thief bitch. You little fucking thief bitch. You want to use my name, rip people off? You fucking little bitch. You fucking bitch. So Akai, for spitting in my face, for strangling me, I'm gonna make you an example for the world for greed, bro. Learn how to share the money and let it
Go!
He was no longer defined only by diamonds and gold. He had become a brand with influence that stretched far beyond 47th Street. But with a louder voice came sharper criticism. A bigger platform meant more scrutiny, and Trax was never known for backing away when things got heated. In January 2026, Trax's long-running campaign about exposing dishonest practices inside the Diamond District hit its most dramatic moment yet. For years, he had posted videos warning customers to double-check quality, question pricing, and avoid getting pressured into quick purchases. Then a situation landed right at his own doorstep. A customer came to 47th Street specifically looking for TraxNYC. He had watched the YouTube videos. He trusted the brand. But before he reached the store, he was allegedly intercepted by another booth called A Diamonds. According to Trax, the staff there told the customer they were essentially the same level of quality and could offer a better price. The pitch worked. The customer bought a 14-karat gold bracelet for $22,000. Still, something did not sit right with him. Instead of walking away and forgetting about it, the customer decided to stop by TraxNYC and ask for a second opinion. He wanted verification. On camera, Trax tested the bracelet. According to him, the results showed it was not 14-karat gold. He claimed it tested closer to 10-karat. That difference matters. Lower gold purity means lower value. If accurate, it meant the customer paid premium pricing for something worth significantly less than advertised. This was the exact kind of scenario Trax had been warning about for years. But instead of just offering advice, he escalated the situation. He refunded the customer the full $22,000 out of his own pocket, even though he had not made the sale and had no direct responsibility for the transaction. Then he added another $1,000 as compensation for the stress and inconvenience. Cameras captured the entire moment, turning it into immediate viral content. From there, the tension moved straight to the source. With his team filming, Trax walked to the A Diamonds booth to confront them face to face. He demanded answers. He accused them of misleading a customer and using his reputation to close a deal. The confrontation quickly became heated, drawing attention from nearby booths and shoppers. In a district already known for tight competition and strong personalities, the situation added another layer of drama.
Maybe 6ix9ine will do it.
Yeah, see if 6ix9ine wants to pop off that.
Whoa! Wait, why don't you like him?
Retard.
Cakewalk. This is my favorite jeweler right here. This is my favorite jeweler now.
The video spread fast across social media. Supporters praised Trax for standing up for the buyer and putting his own money on the line. Critics questioned whether the full story had been told. Either way, the incident pushed his name back into headlines and reignited debates about trust, transparency, and competition inside one of the most intense jewelry markets in the world. From there, things escalated quickly. Trax later claimed that during the confrontation, someone spit on him and that employees from the opposing booth tried to grab him and pull on his chain. The situation turned physical in a matter of seconds. What started as a heated argument inside a crowded jewelry block spiraled into chaos that shocked even longtime Diamond District veterans. Trax was later treated at Bellevue Hospital, where he showed visible marks on his neck. The Daca brothers, George and Freddie, were arrested and charged with assault in connection with the incident. Video footage of the confrontation spread across social media almost instantly. Within hours, millions of people had watched what was supposed to be a local business dispute turn into a national headline. For his supporters, this moment confirmed everything they believed about him. They had followed his videos for years, listening to him call out questionable practices and position himself as a watchdog inside the industry. Now, in their eyes, he had taken that stance to its most extreme level. Comment sections filled with praise. People called him the one who actually stood up when it counted. Some even labeled him the sheriff of 47th Street, saying he backed up his talk with action. Trax did not slow down after the incident. He leaned into the attention. During the viral wave, he reignited old tensions, even publicly challenging Tekashi 6ix9ine to a boxing match over past disagreements. That move kept his name circulating beyond the jewelry world and pushed the narrative further into entertainment territory. Whether you view him as someone defending customers or as someone who thrives on confrontation, the impact is clear. Trax once again turned a street-level conflict into a massive media moment. Very few business owners would risk their brand in a situation like that. He did it in front of cameras, fully aware the footage would travel far beyond Manhattan. Now the bigger question is what comes next. Has Trax solidified his legacy as the most outspoken voice in the Diamond District, or has he created tensions that could follow him for years? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to the BeyondFame channel, share this story with someone who needs to see it, and I will catch you in the next one.